When a powerful billionaire runs away from his own wedding, he makes a desperate move, begging a random woman to pretend to be his girlfriend for just 5 minutes. But those 5 minutes turn into a story that changes everything: love, betrayal, and the price of freedom in a world built on money and lies. Maya never expected her simple yes to turn into global headlines, or to uncover the truth about what the billionaire was really running from. This isn't just a love story. It's a story about choices, courage, and the moment that changes everything. It all started with a phone call. She almost didn't answer. Maya was just an ordinary woman, working at a luxury hotel. Every day she served champagne to people she could never afford to be: polite, efficient, invisible. Until the day he walked in, the man who would change her life forever. His name was Alexander Wright, the billionaire heir to one of the world's largest tech empires. Handsome, sharp, the kind of man who made an entire room stop breathing when he entered. But that day, something was off. He looked different, nervous, desperate. Maya was behind the front desk when he approached, flanked by 2 men in tailored suits. Everyone knew who he was. He was trending everywhere, the world's most eligible bachelor, engaged to Charlotte Pierce, the stunning fashion heiress. So why was the billionaire standing at her counter, sweating through his designer suit, whispering, "I need a favor, I'll pay you anything, just 5 minutes, pretend to be my girlfriend"? In disbelief tone, Maya froze. He had to be joking, but his eyes said otherwise. Behind him, chaos, cameras flashing, reporters shouting, security yelling. The wedding was happening upstairs, his wedding. "Aren't you supposed to be getting married right now?" Grave, desperate tone. As Alex, "Exactly, that's the problem." Before she could react, he grabbed her hand, pulling her toward the exit. The lobby exploded in chaos, reporters screaming, "Alexander, who's she? Where's Charlotte?" Cameras flashing, microphones everywhere, and Maya's heart was pounding. And somehow she found herself smiling for the cameras. Alexander's arm wrapped around her waist as he whispered, "Just smile. Don't say a word." Flash after flash, chaos. Then suddenly a moment of silence. They were in his car, the doors locked, the world outside as should have gone. Calm after chaos. He exhaled, leaned back, and whispered, "Thank you, you just saved me." Saved him from what? Soft, confessional tone as Alex, "From a marriage I never wanted." He explained everything. The wedding had been arranged, a merger between 2 empires. Charlotte wanted fame. His family wanted power. He wanted neither. Reflective tone. "I couldn't do it," he said. "I couldn't marry someone I didn't love. My entire life has been scripted by other people. For once, I wanted to choose something real." "You could have chosen anyone," she whispered. "Why me?" Sincere tone. As Alex, "Because you didn't look at me like everyone else does. You looked at me like a person." And for the first time, she saw the human behind the billionaire. Their 5-minute fake date turned into a strange, beautiful escape. He took her to a small cafe far from the city. No guards, no cameras, no chaos. For the first time, he was just Alex. They talked for hours about life, dreams, what it felt like to be seen. And though she tried not to, Maya began to fall for him. This respite, this glimpse of a simpler, more ordinary existence is a poignant contrast to the whirlwind of chaos that preceded it. He asked, "Do you believe people meet for a reason?" She smiled. "Only if that reason doesn't cost me my job." He laughed, the kind of laugh that made her heart ache. That playful exchange, their banter, it's a sign of how comfortable they've become in each other's presence. The tension that initially pervaded their meeting has been replaced by an easy, flirtatious rhythm that's rooted in shared understanding and mutual affection. But as the sun set, his phone began to buzz. Reality was calling, missed calls, dozens of them. Charlotte, his family, his world. He sighed. "I have to face it eventually." Maya nodded, forcing a smile. "Of course, I should go before someone decides I kidnapped you." The abrupt intrusion of his responsibilities, the return of his obligations, it's almost jarring in this otherwise idyllic moment. He smiled sadly, "And I owe you everything." Then he pressed a sleek black card into her hand. "If anyone bothers you, call this number." And then he was gone. Days turned to weeks. The internet erupted. Alexander Wright's mystery woman. Runaway billionaire. Maya, the woman who stopped a wedding. The media frenzy is a stark reminder of the cost of fame, the price paid for stepping out of the roles society has assigned. Her life turned upside down, reporters, cameras, endless questions, all because she said yes for 5 minutes. Then one night, a letter arrived. elegant, handwritten, inside a single message: dinner, private, no press, Alex. Her heart skipped. She almost said no, but curiosity won. The intrigue of that letter, of that private invitation, it's like a beacon in the storm that's been swirling around Maya. The dinner was private, overlooking the city lights. He was there, smiling softly. No suits, no cameras, just him. You look just as nervous as last time, he teased. She laughed. I still can't believe you found me. They ate. They laughed. And for a while it felt like magic. The world faded. And maybe, just maybe, it was love. The scene is achingly romantic, a moment of peace and intimacy that stands in stark contrast to the frenzy that surrounds them. Then, the doors slammed open. Charlotte stormed in, eyes blazing. So this is the girl who ruined my wedding? The air froze. Maya's heartbeat roared in her ears. Alex stood between them. Charlotte, enough. It wasn't like that. But Charlotte wasn't listening. She threw a folder onto the table. Legal documents, contracts, millions on the line. The sudden shift from a quiet, intimate moment to this explosion of emotion is jarring, almost dizzying. Do you have any idea what you've done, the deals we lost? The headlines? Charlotte demanded. Alex's jaw tightened. I don't care, I never wanted any of it. Then pay for it, she snapped. Because this little stunt cost me everything. Maya stood, voice shaking. I didn't ask for any of this. You two made your choices. I just got caught in between. She turned to leave, but Alex caught her hand. Oh, wait, you're right. You didn't ask for this. But I did ask for 5 minutes, and you gave me something real. I won't let that be the end. He pulled out a pen, signed a document. Right there. The drama of the moment of Alex's decisive action is palpable. He's taking charge of his own destiny, making a bold move that will no doubt have far-reaching consequences. Charlotte gasped, What are you doing? Buying my freedom, he said. You can have the company, the partnership, everything. I'm done. The weight of those words, the defiant declaration, must have been staggering. For someone like Alex, stepping away from everything he's known, from a world of privilege and power, is no small feat. Charlotte stormed out. Silence filled the room. Maya stared at him, eyes wide. You didn't have to do that. Yes, I did, he said quietly. I told you I wanted something real. He reached for her hand again, and this time, she didn't pull away. The tension of their relationship, the push and pull between what they want and what the world expects of them, is finally unraveling in this moment. Months passed. The headlines faded. Alexander Wright left the empire behind. He started a new foundation, one helping women in business, and beside him, always quietly, stood Maya. They didn't call it love. Not yet. But everyone who saw them knew it was something real. That line, they didn't call it love, not yet. It speaks to the slow-burning nature of their relationship, the way it's been allowed to grow and develop naturally away from the public eye. A year later, Maya woke to find a note on the table. Her name, his handwriting. She opened it carefully. There's something I never told you. The day I met you, I wasn't just running from a wedding. I was running from my father's will. Marry Charlotte or lose everything. That day I chose you. It cost me everything, but it was worth it. This reveal, this honesty from Alexander, it shows just how deeply he values Maya, how willing he is to sacrifice everything for her. I'm leaving for a while, to rebuild. If fate is real, we'll meet again, the note read. Her eyes filled with tears, she smiled sadly. Because sometimes, love doesn't end in forever, it ends in peace. That last line, it ends in peace, it's such a poignant and bittersweet way to end this story. 5 minutes, that's all it took to change 2 lives forever. In a world where money can buy anything, fame, luxury, even silence, there's still one thing it can't buy. Something real, and maybe that's why this story will never truly end. Because some connections don't need forever to begin. They just need a moment. It had been 1 year, 365 days since Alex disappeared, leaving only a letter, a promise, and a memory that refused to fade. Maya still worked at the hotel, though life was no longer the same. People still whispered when she passed. The girl who caught a billionaire's heart and let him go. But she didn't mind anymore, because somewhere in her heart, she believed he'd return. The passage of time has brought with it a sense of resignation, of acceptance on Maya's part. And when he finally did, he was no longer the same man who left. This is an intriguing twist, a hint that something profound has changed in Alexander during his absence. It happened on a quiet afternoon. The lobby was empty. The rain tapped softly on the glass, and then a familiar voice broke the silence. "Miss Patel?" She froze, that voice smooth, calm, unmistakable. Her heart skipped as she turned around. There he was. You can feel the anticipation building in this passage, the tension mounting as Maya recognizes his voice before she even sees him. Alexander Wright, the man who vanished to rebuild everything from scratch, but this time, he wasn't surrounded by bodyguards or press. He wasn't the broken runaway groom anymore. He stood tall, confident, at peace. You can see the transformation in Alexander, this sense of newfound inner strength, a kind of serenity that comes with embracing the truth of who he is. For a moment, neither spoke. Then Maya managed a shaky smile. "You came back?" Alex smiled gently. "I promised it, didn't I?" He looked around the lobby, the place where it all began. "I thought it was poetic to find you right where I left you." There's a beautiful symmetry to this reunion, a sense that they're finally coming full circle. Maya laughed softly, trying not to cry. "I thought you'd forgotten." "I tried," he said, eyes glinting, "but it turns out some things don't fade." That little line, "some things don't fade," it really encapsulates the endurance of their connection, the fact that even after everything that's happened, their feelings for each other remain strong and undeniable. They sat down in the hotel cafe, the same corner where they once shared coffee as strangers. He told her everything. After leaving, he had gone to Europe, not to hide, but to rebuild. He started over, using his last personal savings to launch a new company, not another tech empire this time, but something meaningful. The path that Alexander has taken, the change of direction he's made in his life, it's a powerful statement about his values and priorities. "I created Right Innovations," he said, "a company that funds independent creators, startups, and dreamers, people like you." Maya blinked. "People like me?" He smiled. "Yes, the ones who never had a voice. You reminded me of that." Alexander's recognition of the importance of giving a platform to those who have been historically overlooked, it's a crucial part of his character development. He worked tirelessly, no family connections, no old money, just determination, grit, and the memory of her belief in him. "Every late night, every setback," he said softly, "I thought about what you told me, that real success doesn't come from what we own, but from what we're willing to let go." Maya's eyes shimmered. "You really listened." "To every word," he replied. They talked for hours, laughter, tears, the ghosts of everything they'd been through. And when he reached across the table and held her hand, it felt as if no time had passed at all. But then, he did something unexpected. He stood up or looked around the quiet cafe and slowly knelt before her. Maya's breath caught. The entire world seemed to stop moving. The build-up here, the growing sense of anticipation and wonder, it really adds to the significance of this moment. "Maya Patel," he said, voice trembling just slightly, "you once gave me 5 minutes that changed my life. Now I want to give you forever." He pulled out a small velvet box. Inside, a simple ring. Elegant. Timeless. "Marry me." The symmetry here, the way he echoes her words from that first fateful meeting, it's so poignant and meaningful. It's almost as if everything has been leading up to this moment. Maya's eyes filled instantly. This wasn't the billionaire she'd met a year ago, the man who had everything but peace. This was Alex, the man who had lost it all, rebuilt himself, and returned for love. She nodded, tears streaming down her cheeks. "Yes." The cafe erupted in soft applause. Strangers, staff, everyone smiling through the quiet awe of witnessing real love. The spontaneous applause, the shared joy of the moment, it's a beautiful way to emphasize the universal appeal of this love story. Their engagement made headlines again, but this time it wasn't scandal, it was celebration. "The billionaire who chose love over legacy," read one headline. "The hotel clerk who taught him what money can't buy," read another. Even his family, the Wrights known for their cold perfection, couldn't ignore the truth. At first they resisted. His mother worried about the public image. His father's board questioned the match. But when they saw Alex's calm determination, they realized they were facing a man, not a boy living under their shadow. This is a significant turning point for Alex. Standing up to his family and asserting his own identity shows a new level of maturity and confidence, which makes their love story even more powerful. At a private family meeting, his father spoke firmly. "You're really giving up the Pierce Alliance? Do you understand what you're sacrificing?" Alex nodded. "I'm not giving anything up. I'm choosing what matters." His father studied him for a long moment. Then, to everyone's surprise, he smiled faintly. "You remind me of myself, before I forgot what love meant." It was the first time in years his father had said something kind, and for Alex, that was enough. Meanwhile, across the city, Charlotte Pierce watched it all unfold from her penthouse window. The photos of their engagement flooded every feed. The couple that had once been the center of a business empire was gone. The contrast here between Alex's newfound happiness and Charlotte's bitterness is striking, and it really underscores the true value of love versus material success. For a long time, Charlotte felt anger, betrayal, but beneath all that was envy. Not envy of Maya's fame or Alex's return, but envy of something she'd never had, something real. She remembered her last words to Alex, "You'll regret this," but now she saw the truth. He hadn't lost anything she had. Charlotte began to change quietly. She sold her shares in her father's company, started volunteering at a nonprofit that helped young designers, and in a twist of irony, she began speaking publicly about choosing authenticity over ambition. Her first speech went viral. People saw her not as the villain anymore, but as a woman who learned that money without meaning is just noise. This change in Charlotte's character is really fascinating, almost a mirror image of what Alex went through. "Love," she said in one interview, "isn't about possession. It's about peace, and I hope they have it." Months later, the world watched one of the most talked about weddings of the decade, not because of fame or fortune, but because it felt real. This reframing of love as peace, as something grounded and genuine, is such a powerful theme that really ties this entire story together. Alex and Maya chose a quiet vineyard outside Florence, Italy. Only close friends, family, and a few tears. No reporters, no flashing lights, just vows whispered beneath golden sunset skies. Maya walked down the aisle in a simple lace gown, elegant, pure, radiant. Alex waited, eyes shining with emotion he couldn't hide. The simplicity and intimacy of the setting, the absence of the trappings of wealth and status, they really emphasized the authenticity of this moment. As she reached him, he whispered, "You still take my breath away." She smiled, replying, "And you still owe me coffee." Everyone laughed softly, because even fairy tales deserve a little humor. The nod to their first meeting, to the cafe and the coffee, is a perfect touch. It's a reminder of where they came from and how far they've come together. Their vows weren't scripted, they spoke from the heart. "Alex, you taught me that love isn't about what we own. It's about who we become when we stop pretending. You were my freedom, my anchor, my reason to start over." His words are both romantic and deeply profound. The way he acknowledges Maya's role in helping him grow as a person is really moving. Maya, "And you taught me that love can come from the most unexpected places, even in 5 minutes that changed everything. You showed me that real wealth lives here." She placed her hand on her heart. When the priest said, "You may kiss the bride," the world seemed to exhale. Maya's words are equally as profound, and the physical gesture of pointing to her heart, it's such a tangible representation of the emotional truth at the heart of this story. Their honeymoon was simple. No tabloids, no private jets. They traveled by train across small towns in Europe, sharing laughter, meals, and moments that didn't need to be recorded. Maya would often look at him and whisper, "I still can't believe this is real." And he'd reply, "Neither can I. But I'll never stop being grateful that it is." This passage really captures the peaceful, almost nostalgic quality of their honeymoon. When they returned, the Wright family held a quiet dinner to welcome her. This time, there were no cold stares, no business talk, just warmth. Alex's mother took Maya's hands and said, "You gave my son back his smile. Thank you." And just like that, the walls that once separated wealth from love came crumbling down. This reconciliation with Alex's family, it's like the final piece in the puzzle. It brings a sense of completeness and acceptance to their story. Years later, Maya would stand in the same hotel lobby, now renovated under Wright Innovations Foundation. It had become a scholarship center for young entrepreneurs. She smiled, watching people walk through the doors, dreamers, creators, people who reminded her of herself. The fact that the hotel has been transformed into a place for aspiring entrepreneurs, it's a beautiful full circle moment. It shows that the lessons Alex and Maya learned about the true value of love, they're now passing on to others. And when Alex wrapped his arms around her from behind, whispering, "Remember where it all began?" she turned, smiled softly, and said, 5 minutes that changed forever." In the end, Alex didn't just rebuild an empire, he rebuilt himself. He learned that true power isn't measured in wealth, but in the courage to love without conditions. This final line, it's so poignant and powerful. And Charlotte, she found peace, proving that redemption is possible when we stop chasing what glitters and start valuing what matters. Because in a world that worships money and headlines, the rarest treasure of all is love that stays. That line, love that stays, it encapsulates the essence of this entire story. The idea that true, lasting love is something that transcends material wealth and external pressures. And for Maya and Alex, forever began with 5 minutes. This final line ties everything together in a poetic and beautiful way. It's almost like the last line of a fairy tale, a perfect summation of their journey.